Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peggy Sideratos. I am a former teacher in the New York City area. I work for the New York City schools, and I am also the author of two books. The first is The Light Giver and Other Stories to Raise Emotionally Healthy Children, which has a collection of 22 stories that help to build children's character and also help them deal with negative emotions like fear and insecurity and anger and frustration. And along with the Light Giver stories, I also have an accompanying book called the Light Giver Stories Workbook. And today I'm actually going to be doing one of the activities. Actually, it's more like of a discussion that's from the Light Giver Stories Workbook. And it's basically a way to teach children how to apologize. Now, we all know that situations are going to happen with children, just as they happen with adults. In my classroom, in the many years that I was teaching, there were plenty of circumstances where apologies were warranted. It's just human for us to make mistakes. Sometimes things were done by accident. I accidentally pushed you when I was getting on the line. Sometimes maybe they were done a little on purpose because somebody got on somebody's nerves or they just got angry at them and broke their crayons. Or somebody may have hurt somebody else's feelings, which happens even with us adults. So I think it's very important to teach, of course, children to apologize. And of course, that's exactly what I would do. I would say, you realize you've done something wrong. Don't you think you need to apologize? And so when they first started, especially my younger ones, it would be something like, sorry, not even looking at the person, not really acknowledging them, just kind of saying the word or putting their head down, maybe because they're a little embarrassed and shameful for what they've done or getting caught. um, so a lot of times those apologies or walking away, a lot of times those apologies didn't seem sincere. And that really concerned me because if apology is not sincere, then it's just words and it doesn't mean anything. So I wanted to find a way that I could have those kids connect with one another. And what I realized is one of the most important things that I had to teach them was about eye contact. You see, when somebody looks you in the eye to apologize, it's a game changer because suddenly they're connecting with you soul to soul. It's not just words at that point. When they're connecting with you eye to eye, they can see perhaps the hurt they caused. They can feel the pain that they may have inflicted on the other person. They're they develop a sense of humility as well. And so what I found is when my kids would do that, my students, it changed everything. Suddenly, the apologies were much more sincere. And it got to the point where my kids would say, Mr. Dorados, he apologized, but he didn't look me in the eye. And so, without me even having to say anything, the child would then say, take it upon themselves to look the person in the eye and give the apology correctly. And it really did make a difference. So the first thing I would say is when you're teaching a child to apologize, teach them to look at the person in the eye because it makes a huge difference. The second thing I want to say is when we say I'm sorry, we should also follow it with the words that we're sorry for or the action that we're sorry for. We need to include, whether it be the behavior or the words or the action that we did that we are apologizing for. What are you sorry for? I am sorry that I pushed you. I am sorry that I lost my temper and called you that bad name. You need to take responsibility. It's another level of responsibility. It's not just two words. So you're connecting with the eye contact. And secondly, by being specific about what you're apologizing for, you're taking responsibility for your action or your words. And then the third thing I would tell them to do is make sure that you don't try to excuse the behavior. Uh, it's not any good if you just say to somebody, I called you a name, but you deserved it because you did this, this, and this, and this, and that. That just doesn't work. That's not to say that when you're apologizing for something that may have been prompted by somebody else's behavior or speech or whatever it may have been, that maybe the emotions that you felt weren't warranted. Of course, they may have been warranted. You may have been angry. You may have been disappointed, but it doesn't warrant a return of bad behavior. So if it is maybe you're apologizing for something you did because somebody hurt you or because somebody did something, it doesn't excuse it. So what the person making the apology has to do is, besides the eye contact and apologizing for what they did, not try to excuse their part. They need to take responsibility for their part with not saying, but this is why I did it. Which with children, yes, they turn into little lawyers when they come into this situation. So not trying to excuse it. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes we can't explain to a certain degree why something happened. Because even we adults, we might lose our temper, we might get short with someone, and maybe it's because we're tired and we didn't get enough sleep or we're stressed or whatever it is. And we can say to them, I'm sorry that I did this to you. Even though I was tired and it made me a little cranky, that's no excuse. I'm sorry. And the last thing I would say is number 4 is to also promise that you're going to try never to do it again. Because there's no point in saying sorry if it's a behavior that you're going to continue somehow in the future. So if you broke somebody's crayon yesterday, and just because you said sorry and took responsibility, but then the next day you do it, and the next day you do it, those apologies don't mean anything. Now, I'm not saying that, of course, we're not going to mess up and sometimes make the same mistake twice. We're human beings. Um, but we have to make the attempt, and we have to teach the children to make the attempt not to continue the bad behavior and to be a little bit more wary of it, to reflect about it a little bit and say, how can I better handle the situation the next time? Because next times will come. Now, so those are the 4 steps. I'm just going to review. Look the person in the eye. Say, I'm sorry for what you did, right? State the behavior. Number 3, don't try to excuse it. And number 4, reflect on how you can handle it and make that part of your apology. I'm going to try not to do this again. Now, there are going to be times when we're not the ones apologizing, when we're going to be on the receiving end of an apology. And, you know, what I try to instill in children is that when we're on the receiving end, we also have to have grace for people, for their mistakes, just as we would want them to have grace for us. We're human beings. We all make mistakes. We're going to need grace and forgiveness and mercy for our mistakes. And for that reason, we need to have grace and mercy and forgiveness for other people. Kind of like the golden rule, do unto others. Well, if you want to receive mercy and forgiveness, you're going to have to be able to give it. And so what I try to tell children, and something that's very important, is that they should try to be very gracious, to show mercy, to accept the apology, and that to give the forgiveness for the other person's mistake. Now, there are going to be times when somebody's not going to be ready, maybe, to forgive us for something that we've done. right? Maybe they need a little time to cool off. Maybe they need to just calm down, and that happens. And maybe it might make us upset, right? Why haven't they forgiven me? Why? But it's also important to teach children that even if it does take the other person a little time to come around, we still need to be able to forgive ourselves. Even if we make mistakes, and I shouldn't say even when we make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But we need to forgive ourselves because the truth is, as a human being, it's kind of part of our journey. And just because you make a mistake or just because somebody else makes a bad choice doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're evil or bad. It just means that we made an error. We maybe screwed up a little bit. We have to be able to forgive ourselves and to let that go. And hopefully that other party will also let it go. So I'm going to leave you with this beautiful quote. I honestly, I don't know who wrote it, but I loved it, which is one of the reasons I included it in the lesson in the workbook. And it says, "The first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. And the first to forget is the happiest." And that's something that we can instill in children as well. So, for those of you who would like to learn more about this lesson, it's a little discussion. Like I said, it's in the Light Giver Stories workbook. If you're interested, this book and the Light Giver Stories book, they're both available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. You can also purchase them from my website, www.thelightgiverstories.com. And if you would like to learn a little bit more about the books, you can read up about them on my website. And I give away 2 free lessons and 2 free stories from both of these books on my website. No catch. Just go to the website. That website again is www.thelightgiverstories.com. And when you get there, a little pop-up window will come up for a free giveaway. Just click on that, fill in your name and your email, and they'll be sent out to you right away. It's just my way to give to the community. And by the way, for those of you who also don't know, a portion of the proceeds of the sales of both these books go to 2 children's hospitals, including St. Jude's Children's Hospital, because my passion and my love is really for children. If you have any questions about this lesson, or if you want to contact me about getting more information on my books, please feel free to contact me at Peggy, P-E-G-G-Y, Peggy at thelightgiverstories.com. That's my email. I also have a Facebook page called The Light Giver. If you would like to subscribe, I have a vlog there that I do. And you can also find them on my website. I have a vlog. I share some lessons. I do some story readings. And this particular lesson that I did today about apologizing is a follow-up activity that corresponds with the story The Race from this book, which I will soon be sharing. I will soon be posting a video where I do a story reading of The Race, which is a great story about a young girl who makes a poor choice, knows that it's not the right thing to do, and then has to kind of suffer with the consequences of that. And then, well, let's just say that there's apology involved, which is why this story, Corresponding Lessons, is about apologizing. So again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, Peggy at thelightgiverstories.com. I have a YouTube page. Please subscribe. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. And I hope that you can all become part of the Light Giver community. And I say this now at the end of all my videos. I want everybody to just kind of come together and be a light giver. And for those of you who don't know what I mean by that, we all have a light inside of us, a light of goodness, of kindness, of our gifts, of our talents. Those are the things that we're meant to share here in the world with others. The things that separate us from everybody else, that make us special. So take the opportunity every day to do something big or small, even a kind word to somebody or a phone call. Be a light giver. Spread your light, spread your love, spread your kindness to somebody today. Be a light giver. And thanks again for joining me. Don't forget, subscribe to my page and um, find me on Facebook. And again, send me any emails. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Bye bye.